Now comes the fun part. So far what we've done is we've taken a pretty good design, a pretty good set of style sheets, and we've modified them to tweak them. What we're now going to do is completely replace them, really rip them apart, because I want to take this Starship design and make it into a black and white printable design. If we tried to print this on a black and white printer, it would look okay, but it would really just be a grayscale mishmash. A true black and white re-rendering of a map needs to have much clearer lines, it needs to be much sharper. Also, if we were to print this in black and white, we'd have a lot of black printing because of the background. So, we're now going to create a new style sheet that you can apply, again, to any Starship design, or in fact, you can use the techniques in this to apply to any of your dungeon designs as well. And basically, all you'll need to do is map out in color, click a button, select the black and white style sheet collection, and you will have a high-res black and white map. Right, let's start this. To start with, I'm going to zoom in just on the command deck again. That will help keep our redraw down to a minimum. If you're focusing on a smaller area of the map, obviously Campaign Cartographer is just going to redraw that section of the map. So that's another little hint for speeding things up when you're redesigning style sheets. We're going to select our effects, we're going to create a new set of sheets, and we're going to call this, instead of Cosmographer Deck Plan JS Color, we're going to call it Black and White, BW. Click on OK. So far we've not changed anything. Let's click on OK and just see that. Nope, nothing has changed. Let's start by changing this background color to white, or to a very soft grey at least. I'm going to, again, right click, Effects. I'm going to go to the background, and I'm simply going to turn it off. Now if you click here, hide, you can turn off all that is related, all the effects related to a sheet. It'll make them invisible. So if we click on OK, you'll now see that our background has in fact been turned off completely. Let's just look at that again, because it's really important to remember this. I'm going to click on Effects. I'm going to select any other sheet, because that's the active sheet that will be appearing in our toolbar. But I'm going to click over on this box here, Hide, which put a little H. So our background is now hidden. Now I'm going to want the hull of our ship to not have those glows, not have the bevel. I just want it to be a flat color. So I'm going to turn all of these off. When you untick an effect, the effect disappears. So let's click and look at what that looks like now. You can see now it's just the straight hull effect, but that's still not what I want. I actually want my hull to be pure, or as close to pure black as I can get. Again, we'll come over to Sheets and Effects, and I'm going to add a new effect to this. I'm going to call it a glow. I'm going to have it go inside. I'm going to make the strength extremely strong, say 7. And I'm going to give it a blur radius of say 1,000. Massive. What this is going to do is it's going to put a thick black glow internally, which is so large it's going to fill the entire area. Click on OK. This is the only effect, this new one which I've just created is the only effect which is turned on. Click on OK. You can now see that I have a completely black deck. Click on Effects. Now, I'm going to actually delete these unused effects now. So I'm going to click on Bevel. I'm going to delete it. And click on that glow. Don't need it anymore. Delete it. Click on this one. Delete it. Click on this one. Delete it. I left them there just so that you could see that you can turn on and off effects as you wish. In this particular case, I don't want any of the other effects. They're just going to chew up processing time, so I get rid of them. Right, let's work on our walls. Now, I want my walls to be quite thick, but if I make them pure black, they're going to work in this. They're going to merge with this black background. We've got two choices. Either I can soften the color of the hull, or I can soften the color of the walls. Because what you really want in a map is low contrast, high contrast, low contrast, it's probably better for me to lower the contrast of the hull, get the contrast of the wall up higher, the bulkhead up higher, and then lower the contrast of the floor internal. So let me show you. We'll start by putting in our wall effects. So I'm going to go to bulkheads. There we go. I'm going to delete all of these. Delete. Delete. Certainly don't want that wall shadow anymore. And I'm going to add a new glow effect. We're going to use something very similar to what we used before. Give it a huge radius. Oop, our walls have disappeared. I've actually made a mistake. Let me go back and fix that. Effects, bulkheads, glow, edit. What I've actually done is I've made the glow on the outside. It's just too big, so I'm going to click on the inside. That way it will fill inwards. Much better. But now what you can see is that there's no differentiation between our outside deck and our walls. Now you might like that. That might be the style that you'd like, so that the walls on the outside of the deck actually, on the outside of the bulkhead, just hit into the bulkhead. I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Effects. I'm going to go back to my hull. I'm going to select the glow effect of the hull, and I'm going to change that color. I'm going to make it a softer grey. Still quite dark, but much softer than it currently is. There we go. Now you can see that we've got this grey hull, black walls. Now, what are we going to do about this floor space in here? We're going to make that white. Again, using the same techniques. Effects. We'll go to decking. Now, decking currently has a glow. If we edit that glow, you can see it's currently black and it's currently small. It's a little bit of a shadowing in there. What we're going to do is we're going to change this to pure white. We're going to up its strength to 7, and we're going to make it 1000. That, my friends, will give you a pure white deck. Let's zoom out to view the entire map, and you can see that things are looking really quite good. We've still got a lot of color in there, which we're going to get rid of shortly, but one of the problems that we're now facing is that the text, all the descriptive text which is around here, has disappeared. That's because the text was white, and it's on a white background. Now, we could go through and change the color all of the text manually, but that would defeat the purpose of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to make one map that, depending on what style sheet you apply, will change its appearance completely. So, we'll go to Sheets and Effects. We'll find the text. This is where all of our text has been laid out on. Currently, there are no effects associated with text. We're going to add one. We're going to use that lovely glow technique, glow inside. We'll make it black, make the strength 7, and we'll make it, say, 1000. Click on OK, click on OK. Now this is interesting. You can see that our text has come up here, but if you remember, we also had data text all down through here, and it's not showing up. I've discovered a little minor bug in Campaign Cartographer. And so if you're having this problem, I'll show you why. And there's a simple workaround for it. If you remember earlier on, in fact it was one of the first things that we did, we turned off the background of this map. We did this by going over to Effects, going to Background and marking it as H, Hidden. If we turn it back on and click on OK, you'll actually see that our text has come back. It's black, so it's the right color, it's just really, really hard to see. So for some reason, turning off the background layer basically disabled this text from showing in black. Don't know why, and it doesn't really matter. What we're going to do is find another way of reducing that background without turning it off completely. Click on Effects, come to the background, we're going to add a transparency layer in here, and we're going to make it, say, 1% transparent. There we go, now our text is in place. So it's just a little bug that you can work around. If you do have this problem, if you've ever encountered with text, just try looking at those layers which have been turned on or off. So good, there we go. We have our starship. It's looking quite good, but it's not pure black and white yet. Let's come down here. You can see that we've got all these color symbols in place. We've also got these color engineering lines. I want to turn off the color engineering lines completely because quite frankly they're just going to get in the way of our printing. To do this, we can come over to the effects, and what we'll do is we will turn the engineering to hidden, similar to what we did to the background before. There we go. But we've still got this problem of all these color symbols. This is where things get real fun and potentially a little bit confusing for some users. We're going to click on the Sheets and Effects, and instead of affecting individual sheets, we're going to use this button here, Whole Drawing. The effects that we apply in here will apply to the entire drawing once all the other sheets and effects have been constructed. So what Campaign Cartographer will do is we'll work through all of these sheets in that order, applying those effects on them, and then it will apply any effects here. We're going to add one incredibly powerful effect, and quite frankly it's one which confuses the heck out of most people, including myself, but it's a very, very good tool, and it's a lot of fun to play with. It's the RGB matrix process. This basically changes red, green and blue colors into different weightings. I'm going to use a predefined grayscale option. We're going to click on OK. Okay, so we've got the RGB matrix loaded in there, and we've set it to a predefined grey. Don't worry about what those numbers are, I'll get to that a little bit later. And click on OK. Voila! All of these symbols are now grey. If we save our design, zoom out, you'll now see that we have a beautiful grayscale, high contrast map of our starship ready for printing.